ఎస్. జనరంజని గణతంత్ర దిన అంతర్జాల ప్రత్యేక కార్యక్రమానికి అందరికీ స్వాగతం, సుస్వాగతం. ఈనాటి మన కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఓ దేశభక్తి గీతంతో మొదలెడదాం. అయ్యా దర్భా పనీందర్ గారు, ఓ చక్కని దేశభక్తి గీతం వినిపించండి.
అయ్యా ధన్యవాదాలండి. అందరికీ గణతంత్ర దినోత్సవ శుభాకాంక్షలు. ముందుగా ఈనాటి ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని స్వర్గీయ శ్రీ తోలేటి వెంకటరెడ్డి గారి రచనతో ప్రారంభిస్తున్నాను. ఘంటసాల మాస్టర్ దాని స్వీయ సంగీత సరజనలో పాడిన స్వాతంత్రమే నా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి అనే పాటతోటి. స్వాతంత్రమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి, స్వాతంత్రమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి, నిరంకుశం భౌశక్తులెదిరిన నిర్భయముగనెదురించండి, నిరంకుశం భౌశక్తులెదిరిన నిర్భయముగనెదురించండి, పరుల దాస్యమున బాధలు పొంది బ్రతికిన చచ్చిన భేదమే లేదు, పరుల దాస్యమున బాధలు పొంది బ్రతికిన చచ్చిన భేదమే లేదు, స్వాతంత్ర్యమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి. కవోష్ణ రుధిర జ్వాలలతోటి, కవోష్ణ రుధిర జ్వాలలతోటి స్వతంత్ర సమరం నిరపండి, కవోష్ణ రుధిర జ్వాలలతోటి స్వతంత్ర సమరం నిరపండి, ఎంత కాలమిటు సహిల్చియున్నా దోపిడి మూకకు దయరాదన్నా, ఎంత కాలమిటు సహిల్చియున్నా దోపిడి మూకకు దయరాదన్నా, స్వాతంత్ర్యమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి. సంఘములోను ఐక్యత వేగమే సంఘట పరకుము శాంతి ప్రధానా, సంఘములోను ఐక్యత వేగమే సంఘట పరకుము శాంతి ప్రధాన, స్వర్గతుల్యము స్వతంత్ర జ్యోతికి, స్వర్గతుల్యము స్వతంత్ర జ్యోతికి మాంగళ్యపు హారతులిమ్మా, మాంగళ్యపు హారతులిమ్మా, స్వాతంత్ర్యమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి, స్వాతంత్ర్యమే మా జన్మ హక్కని చాటండి. అయ్యా చాలా చక్కటి అవకాశం ఇచ్చినందుకు, కాలానుగుణంగా కాలక్రమంతో నాకు కూడా మళ్ళీ అవకాశం వస్తే తప్పకుండా మీ ముందుకు మళ్ళీ ఇంకొక పాటతో ప్రత్యక్షమవుతాను సార్. ధన్యవాదాలు సార్, అందరికి విన్నందుకు ధన్యవాదాలు.
రైట్ అండి, చాలా చక్కగా పాడారు పనీందర్ గారు. మీరు చెప్పినట్టు బ్రిటిష్ వారు మనల్ని దోచేసుకున్నారు. మీరు చాలా ధన్యవాదాలండి. జనవరి నెల జనరంజని కార్యక్రమానికి పునఃస్వాగతం. మనం ఈ రోజు గణతంత్ర దినోత్సవ వేడుకలు జరుపుకుంటున్నాం. మనం ఆగస్టు 15ని స్వాతంత్ర దినంగా మరియు 26 జనవరిని గణతంత్ర దినంగా ప్రతి ఏటా సంబరాలు జరుపుకుంటున్నాం. మరి మనకి స్వాతంత్రం నిజంగా 15 ఆగస్టున వచ్చిందని మన పాఠ్య పుస్తకాలు పేపర్లు చెబుతున్నాయి. మనం వాటిని విశ్వసిస్తూ ఉత్సవాలు చేసుకుంటున్నాం. 2-3 విషయాలు చూద్దాం. స్వతంత్ర భారతదేశంలో మొట్టమొదటి గవర్నర్ జనరల్ ఎవరు అంటే మనం అందరం ఏకకంఠంతో శ్రీ చక్రవర్తుల రాజగోపాలాచారి అని చెబుతాం. అయితే శ్రీ చక్రవర్తుల రాజగోపాలాచారి 21 జూన్ 1948న గవర్నర్ జనరల్ గా నియమించబడ్డారు. అప్పటిదాకా లార్డ్ మౌంట్ బాటన్ మన గవర్నర్ జనరల్. ఎప్పటిదాకా 21 జూన్ 1948 వరకు. అంటే మనకి స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చి అప్పటికి 10 నెలలు అయింది కదా. మరి మౌంట్ బాటన్ గారు ఇంకా ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తున్నారు? ఇంతకీ శ్రీ రాజగోపాలాచారి గారిని గవర్నర్ జనరల్ గా నియమించింది ఎవరు అనుకుంటున్నారు? మన పార్లమెంట్ అనుకుంటున్నారా? అయితే మీరు కూడా పప్పులో కాలేశారు. ఆయనను నియమించింది కింగ్ జార్జ్ 6 ఇంగ్లాండ్ రాజు గారు. ఎప్పుడు? 1948లో స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చాక. గమ్మత్తైన విషయం ఏంటంటే 1947 ఆగస్టు 14న పాకిస్తాన్ ఏర్పడితే ఆ రోజు నుంచే మహమ్మద్ అలీ జిన్నా పాకిస్తాన్ కి గవర్నర్ జనరల్. మనకి మాత్రం మౌంట్ బాటన్ గారు. అలాగే స్వతంత్ర భారతదేశంలో మొదటి 2 ఆర్మీ చీఫ్లు ఎవరో చూద్దాం. జనరల్ సర్ రాబర్ట్ లాక్హార్ట్ 15 జనవరి 47 నుంచి 31 డిసెంబర్ 47 వరకు. తర్వాత జనరల్ సర్ రాయ్ బుచ్చర్ గారు జనవరి 1, 48 నుంచి 14 జనవరి 49 వరకు. ఆ తర్వాతే 15 జనవరి 49 నుంచి ఫీల్డ్ మార్షల్ కరియప్ప గారు. అంటే మనకి స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చిన 17 నెలల తర్వాత మాత్రమే భారతీయుడు ఒకడు ఆర్మీ చీఫ్ అయ్యారనమాట. ఇంకో గమ్మత్తైన విషయం చెప్పమంటారా? మనకు పాకిస్తాన్కు మొట్టమొదటి యుద్ధం 1947 అక్టోబర్లో జరిగిందని తెలుసు కదా. అప్పుడు భారత ఆర్మీ చీఫ్, పాకిస్తాన్ ఆర్మీ చీఫ్ ఇద్దరు కూడా బ్రిటిష్ వారే. ఆ ఇద్దరు కూడా మౌంట్ బాటన్కే రిపోర్ట్ చేసేవారు. ఇక సుప్రీంకోర్టు ప్రధాన న్యాయమూర్తుల విషయానికి వస్తే 1950 జనవరి 26 వరకు, అంటే మనకి స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చిందని చెప్పుకుంటున్న ఆగస్టు 1547 తర్వాత 29 నెలల వరకు సర్ ప్యాట్రిక్ స్పెన్స్ అనే ఒక బ్రిటిష్ వాడే మన ప్రధాన న్యాయమూర్తి. ఆ తర్వాతే 1950 జనవరి 26న హీరాలాల్ కానియా అనే భారతీయుడు నియమించబడ్డాడు. మరి మనకు 1947 ఆగస్టు 17నే స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చి ఉంటే ఇవన్నీ ఎలా సాధ్యం? మీకు అర్థమవుతోంది అనుకుంటున్నాను. మనకి నిజంగా 1947 ఆగస్టు 15నే స్వాతంత్రం వచ్చిందని మీరు ఇప్పటికే నమ్ముతారా? మరి ఇప్పటిదాకా పుస్తకాల్లో చెప్పింది మనం వింటోంది ఏంటి? వక్రీకరించబడ్డ చరిత్ర కాదు, మనం దాన్ని నిజం అనుకుంటున్నాం, నమ్ముతున్నాం. నిజానికి 1942లో అండమాన్ నికోబార్ ద్వీపాలని జపాన్ సైనిక సహాయంతో నేతాజీ సుభాష్ చంద్రబోస్ నాయకత్వంలోని ఇండియన్ నేషనల్ ఆర్మీ స్వాధీనం చేసుకుంది. స్వతంత్ర భారతదేశ ప్రకటన మొట్టమొదటిసారి అక్కడి నుంచే జరిగింది. మనమందరం గాంధీ గారు సహాయ నిరాకరణ ద్వారా అహింసా మార్గంలో స్వాతంత్రం సాధించారు అనే మాట పదే పదే చెప్పడం ద్వారా, వినడం ద్వారా, మన చరిత్ర పుస్తకాల్లో చదవడం ద్వారా అదే నిజమని నమ్మాం, ఇంకా నమ్ముతున్నాం. నిజమా లేక ఇంకేమైనా విశేష కారణాలు ఉన్నాయా తెలుసుకోవాలని కదా. మరి ఆలస్యం ఎందుకు? మన సందేహ నివృత్తికి భారతదేశ చరిత్ర మీద పరిశోధనలు చేసి పరిపూర్ణమైన అధికార సమాచారంతో మన ముందుకు రాబోతున్నారు పద్మశ్రీ బ్రహ్మశ్రీ డాక్టర్ త్రిపురనేని హనుమాన్ చౌదరి గారు. వారిని మాట్లాడమనే ముందర వారిని మీకు పరిచయం చేస్తాను. శ్రీ త్రిపురనేని హనుమాన్ చౌదరి గారు 91 ఏళ్ల నిత్య యువకుడు. శ్రీ చౌదరి గారు చెన్నైలోని లైలా కాలేజీలో చదివారు. తర్వాత గిండి కాలేజీ నుంచి 1952వ సంవత్సరంలో టెలికమ్యూనికేషన్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ లో పట్టా తీసుకున్నారు. శ్రీ చౌదరి గారు భారత ప్రభుత్వ సమాచార మరియు ప్రసార శాఖ మరియు టెలికమ్యూనికేషన్ శాఖలలో జనరల్ మేనేజర్, డిప్యూటీ డైరెక్టర్ జనరల్ పదవులు నిర్వహించారు. ఆయన భారతదేశం యొక్క ఓవర్సీస్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ కార్పొరేషన్ విదేశ సంచార నిగమ్ లిమిటెడ్ విఎస్ఎన్ఎల్ ఈ వ్యవస్థాపక చైర్మన్ మరియు మేనేజింగ్ డైరెక్టర్. ఆయన గవర్నర్ గా ఇంటెల్సాట్ వాషింగ్టన్ కి మరియు ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ డైరెక్టర్ గా ఇన్మాసాట్ లండన్ కి బాధ్యతలు నిర్వహించారు. ఇంకా దక్షిణాఫ్రికాలో టెలికాంల పునర్నిర్మాణము మరియు నేపాల్లో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మరియు కమ్యూనికేషన్ పాలసీ రూపొందించడం కోసం సిఐడిఏ కెనడాచే నియమించబడ్డారు. ఆయన 1998-99లో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీ మరియు సాఫ్ట్వేర్ పై భారతదేశ ప్రధానమంత్రి జాతీయ టాస్క్ ఫోర్స్ సభ్యుడిగా ఉన్నారు. ఆయన వివిధ హోదాల్లో 80 దేశాలకు సేవ చేశారు. డాక్టర్ చౌదరి గారు ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ రాష్ట్ర మంత్రి హోదాలో సమాచార సాంకేతిక సలహాదారుగా ఉన్నారు. ఈ గవర్నెన్స్, ప్రభుత్వం నుంచి పౌరులు అంటే గవర్నమెంట్ టు సిటిజన్ సేవలు, ఈ సేవ, ఇంటర్నెట్ కియాస్కులు, స్కూళ్లలో మరియు కాలేజీలలో కంప్యూటర్ శిక్షణ విషయంలో రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వానికి మార్గదర్శకత్వం వహిస్తున్నారు. డాక్టర్ చౌదరి గారు 1999 నుంచి 2009 సంవత్సరం వరకు సత్యం కంప్యూటర్ సర్వీసెస్, తర్వాత 1990 నుంచి టాటా కన్సల్టెన్సీ సర్వీసెస్ లో ఫెలోగా వ్యవహరిస్తున్నారు. ఆయన భారతదేశం యొక్క టెలికమ్యూనికేషన్లను సరళీకృతం, లిబరలైజేషన్ చేయడానికి మరియు ఎవరో మ్యూట్ లో వెళ్ళాలి క్లాసులు వెంకట ఎవరో చూసి మ్యూట్ చేసేయండి వాళ్ళు. ఆయన భారతదేశం యొక్క టెలికమ్యూనికేషన్లను సరళీకృతం, లిబరలైజేషన్ చేయడానికి మరియు ప్రభుత్వంలో ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మరియు కమ్యూనికేషన్ టెక్నాలజీలను విస్తృతంగా విస్తరించడానికి ఏర్పాటు చేయబడ్డ సెంటర్ ఫర్ టెలికాం మేనేజ్మెంట్ అండ్ స్టడీస్ కి వ్యవస్థాపక డైరెక్టర్. ఆయన భారతదేశం ఎదుర్కొంటున్న సామాజిక, రాజకీయ, ఆర్థిక, విద్య మరియు అభివృద్ధి సమస్యలపై చర్చల కోసం 2 తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాల్లోని మేధావుల కోసం ఏర్పాటైన ఒక ఆలోచన వేదిక ప్రజ్ఞాభారతి ఇంటెలెక్ట్ ఇండియాకి చైర్మన్ గా వ్యవహరిస్తున్నారు. ఆయన టెలికమ్యూనికేషన్స్, ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ టెక్నాలజీ, భారతీయ సంస్కృతి మరియు రాజకీయాలపై అనేక పుస్తకాలు రచించారు. ఇంతేకాక అనేక జాతీయ మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ జర్నల్స్ కి ఎడిటోరియల్ బోర్డు సభ్యులు కూడా. ఆయన అమెరికా, చైనా మరియు డెన్మార్క్ లో చాలా యూనివర్సిటీలకి విజిటింగ్ ఫ్యాకల్టీ. ఆయన దూరదర్శన్లో, ఆల్ ఇండియా రేడియోలలో మరియు చాలా తెలుగు ఇంగ్లీష్ టీవీ ఛానళ్లలో తరచూ కరెంట్ అఫైర్స్ పై చర్చలలో పాల్గొంటూ ఉంటారు. టెలికామ్ లో పనిచేసేటప్పుడు ఆయన హైదరాబాద్ మరియు అహ్మదాబాద్ లో రీజనల్ టెలికామ్ ట్రైనింగ్ సెంటర్లను స్థాపించారు. ఆయన చాలా ఇంజనీరింగ్ కాలేజీలకు, బిజినెస్ స్కూళ్లకు విజిటింగ్ స్పీకర్. శ్రీ చౌదరి గారు ప్రస్తుతం హిందూ దేవాలయాలను ప్రభుత్వ నిర్వహణ నుంచి విముక్తి చేసే ఉద్యమంలో నిమగ్నమై ఉన్నారు. ఆయన ఇప్పటికే పలు జాతీయ మరియు అంతర్జాతీయ వార్తాపత్రికలు మరియు ప్రొఫెషనల్ జర్నల్స్ కి ఆర్టికల్స్ రాస్తూ ఉంటారు. ఆయన చదువుకునే రోజుల్లోనే నాయకత్వ లక్షణాలు ప్రదర్శిస్తూ గిండి కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్ అసోసియేషన్ గా ఎన్నికయ్యారు. ఇది 1952లో. ఇంజనీరింగ్, ఐటీ మరియు విద్యా రంగాల్లో ఆయన విశిష్ట సేవలను గౌరవిస్తూ జవహర్లాల్ నెహ్రూ సాంకేతిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం JNTU ఆయనకు 1999లో ఆనరరీ డాక్టరేట్ ప్రదానం చేసి తనను తాను గౌరవించుకుంది. ఆయన సనాతన ధర్మ చారిటబుల్ ట్రస్ట్ వారి ప్రతిభా పురస్కారం అందుకున్నారు. సరిగ్గా 5 ఏళ్ల కిందట 26 జనవరి 2017 నాడు భారత ప్రభుత్వం ఆయనకు ప్రతిష్టాత్మక పద్మశ్రీ అవార్డుతో సత్కరించుకుంది. 2019లో ఇండిక్ అకాడమీ ద్వారా సనాతన్ ధర్మ గురు అవార్డును, నాయడమం మెమోరియల్ అవార్డును గెలుచుకున్నారు. ఆయన తెలంగాణ మరియు ఆంధ్ర రాష్ట్రాల్లో ప్రజ్ఞాభారతికి చైర్మన్ గాను, అలాగే భారతీయ ధర్మ రక్షణ సమాఖ్యకి కన్వీనర్ గాను వ్యవహరిస్తున్నారు. శ్రీ హనుమాన్ చౌదరి గారిని మాట్లాడమనే ముందు సభ్యులందరికీ విజ్ఞప్తి, దయచేసి మీ మొబైల్లను, ల్యాప్టాప్లను మ్యూట్లో ఉంచుకోండి. సభ్యులు ఎవరికైనా ఏమైనా సందేహాలు ఉంటే జూమ్ లో చూస్తున్నవారు జూమ్ చాట్ లో, యూట్యూబ్ లో చూస్తున్నవారు లైవ్ చాట్ లో మీ సందేహాలను పోస్ట్ చేయండి. శ్రీ దేవులపల్లి దుర్గాప్రసాద్ గారు మీ తరపున వాటిని చౌదరి గారిని అడుగుతారు. అయ్యా, తర్వాత 40-45 నిమిషాలు ఈ వేదిక మీది. తర్వాత ప్రశ్నోత్తరాల కార్యక్రమం ఉంటుంది. మరొకసారి ప్రేక్షకులందరూ మీ మొబైల్లను, ల్యాప్టాప్లను మ్యూట్ లో ఉంచుకున్నారు కదా? అయ్యా
చంద్ర గారు, సుదీర్ఘమైనటువంటి పరిచయ వాక్యాలు పలికినందుకు మీకు ధన్యవాదాలు. తెలుగులో ధారాళంగా మాట్లాడటం కొంచెం కష్టంగా ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి మీ అందరికీ కూడా నేను అపాలజీ ఇస్తూ ఇంగ్లీష్లో కొనసాగించడానికి మీరు సెలవు ఇస్తారని ఆశిస్తున్నాను. అనుకోవద్దు. సాహిత్యం ద్వారానే మనకు విలువలు వస్తాయి. తెలుగు సాహిత్యం అంటే నాకు చాలా ప్రియము. 800 పద్యాలు భారతం, భాగవతం, భగవద్గీతలు అన్ని కూడా నేను చెప్పగలను. అయ్యా, జార్జ్ ఆర్వెల్ అని ఆయన నా వల్లనే ఆయన చిన్నతనంలో కమ్యూనిస్టు, నేను కూడా అంతే కమ్యూనిస్టు. 1965-66 వరకు కూడా నేను కమ్యూనిస్ట్ని. పార్టీలో చాలా ఎన్నో చేసేవాళ్ళం. ఆ జార్జ్ ఆర్వెల్ గారు ఈ కమ్యూనిజాన్ని బాగా పరీక్షించి, అనుభవించి 3 పుస్తకాలు, అద్భుతమైన పుస్తకాలు రాశారు. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే 1984 అని, అప్పుడు ఏం జరగబోతుందో అని రాశారు అనమాట. రెండోది యానిమల్ ఫామ్, జంతువుల యొక్క చాలా యానిమల్ ఫామ్ అని. మూడోది డార్క్నెస్ ఎట్ నూన్ అని. అందులో రాసిన ఒక మహావాక్యం ఏమిటంటే, హీ హూ కంట్రోల్స్ ద ప్రజెంట్ కంట్రోల్స్ ద పాస్ట్, హూ కంట్రోల్స్ ద పాస్ట్ విల్ కంట్రోల్ ది ఫ్యూచర్. ఇది అక్షరాల నిజం. మన భారతీయ చరిత్రలో నెహ్రూ గారి యొక్క ప్రభుత్వం, వారి వంశీకుల యొక్క ప్రభుత్వం సమయంలో కమ్యూనిస్టులను చేరదీసి జవహర్లాల్ నెహ్రూ యూనివర్సిటీని వారికి దత్తం చేసి అందులో ఉన్నటువంటి కమ్యూనిస్టులు రాసిన పుస్తకాలకి అంటే ప్రజెంట్, దే కంట్రోల్ ది ప్రజెంట్. అందుకని వాళ్ళు పాస్ట్ను కూడా కంట్రోల్ చేసేసి చరిత్రని వక్రీభరించి రాసివారు. ఉదాహరణకి భారత స్వాతంత్ర్య సంగ్రామాన్ని గురించి వారిని రాయమంటే 600 పేజీల్లో 1.5 పేజీలు మాత్రం సుభాష్ చంద్రబోస్కి, ఇక నెహ్రూ వంశీయులకి కొన్ని 10 పేజీలు మాత్రం ఉన్నాయన్నమాట. అంటే చక్రిని అలా చరిత్ర ఆ విధంగా తిరిగి పునః రాయటం అనేది జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది. ఖృష్చేవ్ గారు వచ్చి స్టాలిన్ టైంలో ఉన్నటువంటి కమ్యూనిస్టు చరిత్రని తిరిగి రాయించారు. ఖృష్చేవ్ పోయిన తర్వాత బ్రిజం వచ్చిన తర్వాత తిరిగి రాయించారు. అదేవిధంగా మన దేశంలో ముస్లింల యొక్క పాలన గురించి, బ్రిటిష్ యొక్క పాలన గురించి వాళ్ళు తర్వాత కమ్యూనిస్టుల చేత రాయబడినటువంటి చరిత్రలన్నీ కూడాను చాలా గుబుప్సాకరంగా ఉంటాయి అనమాట అండి. చర్చిల్ గారు ఒకసారి బ్రిటిష్ పార్లమెంట్ లో మాట్లాడుతూ చాంబర్లిన్ గారు అపీజ్మెంట్ హిట్లర్కి జెకోస్లోవాకియా ఒక భాగాన్ని అప్పచెప్పేసారు, దీని తర్వాత శాంతి వస్తుందన్నారు. అప్పుడు మాట్లాడుతూ ఆయన ఏమన్నాడు, హిస్టరీ విల్ కండెమ్ యూ. ఆపి ఏమన్నారు, ఐ ఆమ్ గోయింగ్ టు రైట్ దట్ హిస్టరీ అన్నారు. అద్భుతం అన్నమాట అండి. ఆయన అంటే చరిత్ర అనేది ఎవరి చేతుల్లో ప్రభుత్వం ఉంటుందో, ఆధిపత్యం ఉంటుందో వాళ్ళే రాస్తూ ఉంటారు అనేది అనమాట. సరే, నేను ఇవాళ మాట్లాడదలుచుకున్నది భారతదేశానికి స్వతంత్రం ఏ విధంగా వచ్చింది, రాకముందు జరిగినటువంటి పోరాటాలు ఏమిటి, అందులోని వ్యక్తుల యొక్క పాత్రలు ఏమిటి, అవి నమ్మదగని ఇంతవరకు కూడా ప్రచారంలోకి రాని వాస్తవాలను గురించి చెప్పదలుచుకున్నాను అనమాట. ఒకటి చాలా వింత అయినటువంటి విషయంతో ప్రారంభిస్తాను. అదేంటంటే గాంధీ గారు 1948లో చనిపోయారు, 30 జనవరిలో అనమాట. అదే రోజున డాక్టర్ అంబేద్కర్ వారి యొక్క శవాన్ని బిర్లా మందిరంలో 2 సార్లు వెళ్ళి చూసి వచ్చారు. చూసి వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఆయన ఏం రాశారంటే, ఆయన కాబోయే భార్యకి ఉత్తరం రాస్తూ, మిస్టర్ గాంధీ హ్యాడ్ బికమ్ ఏ పాజిటివ్ డేంజర్. మిస్టర్ గాంధీ హ్యాస్ బికమ్ ఏ పాజిటివ్ డేంజర్ టు దిస్ కంట్రీ. He had choked all the thoughts. He was holding together the Congress, which is a combination of all the bad and self-seeking elements in society, who agreed on no social or moral principle governing the life of society except the one of praising and flattering Mr. Gandhi. Such a body is unfit to govern this country. The Bible says that something good will come out of evil. So also, I think that good will come out of the death of Mr. Gandhi. Mr. Jinnah and Mr. Ambedkar, వీరిద్దరు కూడా గాంధీ గారిని ఎప్పుడు కూడా మిస్టర్ గాంధీ అన్నారు కానీ మహాత్మా గాంధీ అని అనలేదన్నమాట. He will release people from bondage to supreme man. It will make them think for themselves, and it will compel them to stand on their own merits. My real enemy has gone. Thanks goodness. The eclipse is over. That is what he is written. ఎవరైనా నమ్ముతారా? అంబేద్కర్ గారిని ఈ రోజున ఆయనకున్నటువంటి విగ్రహాలు భారతదేశంలో మరి ఎవరికి కూడా లేవు. వారు పేరు ఉచ్చరించని దినం లేదనమాట అండి. వారి గురించి రాయని దినం కూడా లేదు. గాంధీ గారి గురించి రాశారు. కొన్ని ఘట్టాలు చెబుతాను. 1921 ఆగస్టు 22వ తారీఖున మలబార్ జిల్లాలో, అప్పుడు దాన్ని మలబార్ జిల్లా అనేవారు, ఇప్పుడు కేరళలో ఉన్నదాన్ని, ఏది జరిగింది, ఈ మోప్లాస్ అనేవాళ్ళు స్వతంత్ర్యాన్ని ప్రకటించారు. ఎందుకంటే గాంధీ గారు 1920లో సంవత్సరం లోపల భారతదేశానికి స్వతంత్రం వస్తుందన్నారు. భారతదేశానికి వచ్చినా రాకపోయినప్పటికీ కూడా ఖిలాఫత్లో ఆయన దించేసి కాంగ్రెస్ని దించిన తర్వాత ఒక సంవత్సరంలో వస్తుందంటే 21 ఆగస్టు 22వ తారీఖున మోప్లాలు ఖిలాఫత్ ప్రకటించారు. ఆ ఖిలాఫత్ ప్రకటించి హిందువులను కోయటం, హిందూ దేవుళ్ళు నాశనం చేయటం, ఇవన్నీ కూడా జరుగుతూ ఉన్నాయి. జరుగుతూ ఉన్నప్పుడు గాంధీ గారు దాన్ని కండెమ్ చేయలేదు. కొన్ని ఉదంతాలు మాత్రం, కొన్ని విషయాలు మాత్రం చెప్తున్నాను అనమాట. దాని అందుకింద ఏమైనా అన్నారంటే, ది మోప్లాస్ ఆర్ గాడ్ ఫియరింగ్ పీపుల్. దే ఆర్ డూయింగ్ వాట్ దే థింక్ దేర్ రిలిజియన్ హ్యాస్ టాట్ దెమ్ టు డూ. ఎంత ఘోరం, ఎంత ఘోరం. అప్పుడు కాంగ్రెస్ లో ఈ విషయాన్ని ఒక డిస్కషన్గా వచ్చింది. ఆ డిస్కషన్గా వచ్చినప్పుడు ఏమి జరిగిందంటే, మౌలానా మొహాని అని నేషనలిస్ట్ ముస్లిం గారు ఏమన్నారు, ఎందుకంటే ప్రాఫెట్ మహమ్మద్ ఏ పనులు చేశారో అలా చేయటమే ముస్లింల యొక్క కర్తవ్యం, వారి యొక్క ధర్మం అని వారి మతం వాళ్ళకి చెబుతుంది అనమాట. ఐ వాజ్ సర్ప్రైజ్, అంటే ఇది అంబేద్కర్ రాశారు, అంబేద్కర్ గారు. ఐ వాజ్ సర్ప్రైజ్ an out nationalist like Maulana Hasrat Mohani opposed the resolution on the ground that the Mopla country no longer remained Darul Aman, but it is Darul Harb. And they suspected the Hindus of collusion with the British enemies of the Moplas. Therefore, the Moplas are right. Chuskondi. The Moplas are right in presenting the Quran or sold to the Hindus. Moplas are right to present the sword or his Quran to the Hindus. Therefore, the Moplas were right in presenting the Quran or sword to the Hindus. And if the Hindus became Muslims to save themselves from death, it was a voluntary change of faith and not forceful conversion. Can you imagine this? This is what Gandhiji stomached. There was another thing that was during the Khilafat movement, the Maulana Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali, these were the two brothers. These brothers, they used to call Mahatma Gandhi a Mahatma Gandhi. In 1923-24లో చౌరీ చౌరా చోట ఒక పోలీస్ పోస్ట్ దహనం చేయబడితే గాంధీ గారు ఈ మూవ్మెంట్ ని విత్డ్రా చేశారు. విత్డ్రా చేసినప్పుడు ఇక ఈ 1924లో టర్కీలో రెవల్యూషన్ వచ్చి కాలిఫోర్నియా వెళ్ళగొట్టేశారు. అప్పుడు వెళ్ళగొట్టేసిన తర్వాత ఖిలాఫత్ మూవ్మెంట్ పని కాకుండా పోయింది. ఖిలాఫత్ మూవ్మెంట్ అయిపోయింది 1924లో. గాంధీ గారిని మహాత్ముడిని పిలిచినటువంటి మొహమ్మద్ అలీ స్పీకింగ్ ఎట్ అలీగర్ అండ్ అజ్మేర్ 1924లో ఏమన్నారు? హవెవర్ ప్యూర్ మిస్టర్ గాంధీస్ క్యారెక్టర్ మే బీ, he must appear to be from the point of view of religion inferior to any Musliman. He was a Mahatma before. Now he is inferior to any Musliman, even though he be without character. This statement created a great stir. Many did not believe that Mr. Muhammad Ali, who testified to so much veneration for Mr. Gandhi, was capable of entertaining such ungenerous and contemptuous sentiment about him. When Mr. Muhammad Ali was speaking in a meeting held in Aminabad Park in Lucknow, he was asked whether the sentiments attributed to him were true. Mr. Muhammad Ali, without any hesitation or compunction, replied, "Yes. According to my religion, Islam, and creed, I do hold an adulterous and a fallen Musliman to be superior and better than Mr. Gandhi." What do you want? This is the type of background we were faced with before independence. And a few incidents also are worth mentioning. In 1928, there was Bardoli Satyagraha. And who was the Sardar who led it? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. It was there that the farmers called him Sardar, and that epithet stuck to him. So in 1928, Motilal Nehru was the president, and he was to make over to somebody else. So everybody proposed in the Congress that Sardar Patel should be the president for the 1929 Congress. Motilal ji approached Gandhiji during my lifetime. I want to see my son to be president. Gandhiji agreed, and he asked Patel to withdraw. And Patel, like Hanuman to Rama, he withdrew. And what happened? In 1927, Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Patel were secretaries to the Indian National Congress, the Congress that was held in Madras. And as soon as Nehru became, I'm sorry, it is not Sardar Patel, Bose, Subhash Chandra Bose and Nehru were the secretaries in the 1927 Congress in Madras. When Jawaharlal Nehru became the president in 1921, he removed Subhash Chandra Bose as General Secretary. CG. In 1945, next, the congressmen were all jailed on the 9th of August 1942 for their Quit India movement. Jinnah said, split and quit. Of course, that is what happened. So the Quit India movement was suppressed with 5 Australian and British divisions in the country handling all these people. Within about 6 weeks, there was no Quit India movement. All people were in jail. The Congress was declared as an illegal organization, and that was removed only in 1945, after the war was over and when they were let off. 1945. Now, the British won the war along with America and the Soviet Union, but they were totally exhausted. They would not be able to hold. I will come to that later. Then who should be the Congress president? Whosoever is going to be the Congress president is going to be the Prime Minister of India when the transfer of power takes place. All the Congress committees but one proposed Sardar Patel should be the president of the Congress. One committee proposed Kripalani's name, none proposed Nehru's name. None proposed Nehru's name. Then came Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Patel, you withdraw. And Hanuman, Sardar Patel was Hanuman to Rama Gandhi, so he withdrew. So this is twice this has happened. He would have become the Prime Minister, but Gandhiji, for reasons which you ask, then I will tell you. But Sardar Patel had his worth proved immediately after independence. In 1950, who should be the Congress president? 1950 December, Sardar Patel died, but the election took place in September. Nehru put up Kripalani, Sardar Patel put up Maharshi Rajarshi Tandon, Purushottam Das Tandon, and he was easily beaten. Kripalani was beaten. That means Nehru lost versus Sardar Patel. But then, when Tandon wanted to constitute a Congress working committee, Nehru and company like Rafi Ahmed Kidwai, all of them, they non-cooperated. And this non-cooperation finally led to Tandon's resignation and the Congress being taken over by Jawaharlal Nehru himself. And since then, it is all his dynasties. This had a precedent. In 1938, Subhash Chandra Bose was the Congress president. For the next year's presidency, that is 1939, he wanted to be the president. His nomination was duly proposed. His name was duly proposed. And Gandhi and company put up Pattabhi Sitaramaya against Subhash Chandra Bose. That was in 1939. Subhash Chandra Bose very easily defeated Pattabhi Sitaramaya and Gandhi and company. And what has happened before, what would happen in 1950 had this president, Gandhiji and Jawaharlal Nehru, all of them non-cooperated to Subhash Chandra Bose to the extent that Subhash Chandra Bose was driven to resign from the Congress and form a new party called the Forward Bloc. And so about Subhash Chandra Bose, I am going to talk extensively. So I will leave that at this. That is, Gandhiji always, for some reasons, which if you ask, I will tell later, was propping up Jawaharlal Nehru. And even after independence, when there were so many communal riots and Muslims were getting as much beaten as Hindus were being beaten in Punjab and West Pakistan, Jawaharlal Nehru was always wanting that the Muslims should be protected. And Sardar Patel wanted to protect the Hindus equally, protect both people equally. But Nehru was not doing that one. Sardar Patel resigned from the ministry. He resigned from the ministry and went away to Bombay. Then Mountbatten went to Nehru, went to Gandhiji and said, Mahatma Ji, this country cannot be ruled by me or by Jawaharlal Nehru. Please recall Sardar Patel. And Sardar Patel was recalled Hanuman of Rama Gandhi, and Gandhiji took a oath from Sardar Patel that you shall never be number one, you shall always be number two of Jawaharlal Nehru. And that's what was happening. But it was 1950 only there was a confrontation. So before the independence itself, we can see what type of history was being written. People afterwards are saying of late and for all the duration of the rule of the Nehru dynasty and even afterwards, that it is due to ahimsa, due to satyagraha, due to so this and that, these movements that India got independence. Did India get independence? In the introductory remarks, Chandra has said that what was there, we had a Governor General appointed and a British man, Governor General appointed by the King of England. It was only transfer of power. And while Congress was always saying quit India, Jinnah always said split and quit. That's what exactly has happened. India was split on the 14th of August 1947, and Jinnah became the Governor General and the Pakistan was created. It was only 24 hours afterwards that transfer of power took place. Mr. V.P. Menon, who was the state secretary, he wrote a book, Transfer of Power in India. He never called it independence. He called transfer of power to Nehru and company. That was what happened in the 15th of August 1947. Now, did we get independence? Kangana Raut recently tweeted that we got independence only in 2014. In 2014, I wrote a book, India on the Freedom Road. India on the Freedom Road. Earlier, it was not freedom. They had the power. They were sitting there. But it was not free to talk about Bharat or the majority community, etc., that is the Hindus. So Kangana asked a question and she was excoriated by so many people. The reason this question was asked by the acting governor of West Bengal, Mr. Chief Justice P.B. Chakravarti, during whose time did India get power from the British? When Clement Attlee was the Prime Minister, Labour Party leader. 1945, May 9, Germany surrendered to the Allies. May 1945 on the 9th. In July of that year, and the Allies were still at war with Japan. The Second World War did not end. There were general elections. The Conservative Party, led by that redoubtable wartime Prime Minister Winston Churchill, was defeated and the Labour Party won. So Labour Party, Attlee was the Prime Minister. It was during his time. And before this, what happened? In 1942, when at the height of the British defeat during the Second World War, they wanted India to, they have declared, British Governor General declared war on behalf of India against the Axis forces of Germany, Italy, and Japan. And in protest against that, the Congress ministries, which were there functioning since 1937, resigned. And when in 1942, they wanted, Indian army was 90,000 before the Second World War. And it became 3 million by the end of the Second World War. 3 million, 30 lakhs from 90,000. Now, these divisions were not trusted in 1942 to finish the Quit India movement. The English used, the British Viceroy used 5 Australian and English divisions that were posted in India to suppress that within about 4 weeks. That detail, if any question is there, I will mention later. Now, 1952, a Cripps mission came and they said, we will transfer power after the end of the war, provided you cooperate now. Yes, during the First World War, India cooperated. Gandhi went on recruiting people for the British Indian Army, but they did not fulfill that promise. 1919 Jallianwala Bagh, etc., etc. And afterwards, we said full freedom. It was not common with the membership, but now in 1942 up till 45, all the Congress leaders were put in jail. Congress declared as an illegal organization. Subhash Chandra Bose, 1939, he had to resign from the Congress, forcibly resigned. He forces, that is Gandhi and Nehru, etc. Then the question was, the English discomfiture, the discomfiture of the British is the greatest opportunity for India to rise in revolt and wage a war against the British and throw them out. Subhash Chandra Bose went to Bombay, met Veer Savarkar and Dr. Ambedkar. So both of them encouraged him. What is the point? Like Congress people sitting in jail. And if you also sit in jail, nothing will happen. You are wanting to go abroad and raise an army, please do that. It was that advice which fortified Subhash Chandra Bose's intention of using our enemy as our friend, wage a war against the British and get independence. 1941 January, he disappeared. He was under a house arrest. He disappeared. Details I will not tell. Via Afghanistan, he wanted to enter Soviet Union. They did not allow. So he went to Germany. And after some time, he met even the Führer, Hitler, who made some disparaging remarks about India. But when once Subhash Chandra Bose met him, he eat a humble pie and revised his opinion about India and the freedom fighters. Now, sitting in Germany, what did he do? He was broadcasting to India that we should rise in revolt against the British. He founded the Azad Hind Fauj there. Indian National Army was founded in Singapore by Rash Bihari Avenue much earlier. Indian National Army was made over afterwards to Subhash Chandra Bose when he came there. So between 1941 and 1943, he was in Germany, and through a submarine passage, which lasted for about 2 months or so, he came to Singapore in 1943 May. 1943 May. So Singapore has fallen in February 1942 to the British were defeated. Japan, kamikaze, one pilot went into, he immolated himself by having a bomb with him and landing upon the Prince of Wales. That was the great disaster for the British anyway. And by that time, Rash Bihari Bose has raised the Indian National Army out of the Indians that were living in Thailand, Singapore, and Malaya. As soon as Subhash Chandra Bose landed, and he made over the command of the Indian National Army to Subhash Chandra Bose. So through his discussions, through his talks, there were 40,000 prisoners of war. That means British Indian Army soldiers who had been taken over as prisoners of war by Japan when Japan defeated and expelled the British from Southeast Asia, including Burma, Malaya, Singapore, etc. Now, Subhash Chandra Bose, on 1943 October, he declared the provisional government of a free India. Provisional government of a free India in 1943 October. This government was recognized by Japan, by Korea, and Burma. These are the three countries which had already been liberated by Japan. So, the first free government of India was not headed by Jawaharlal Nehru, but by Subhash Chandra Bose in 1943 October. He declared war on Britain. Japan made over the Andaman Islands, and the tricolor was unfurled there. So, under Subhash Chandra Bose, the 40,000 prisoners of war and 20,000 others recruited by Subhash, the Rashbihari, this was an army of 60,000 people, 3 divisions. They went fighting along with the Japanese, undertook operations in Burma, entered Kohima and Imphal in 1944 May. So the Indian National Army fought the British Indian Army commanded by the white generals. Unfortunately, by that time, Japan had already become weak and slowly they went on withdrawing. Right? So what happened? By August 15th, the Japanese, because of the 2 atom bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the next one on the 9th of August, the Japan surrendered on the 15th of August. Subhash Chandra Bose was going from Singapore to Taiwan, and it was reported on the 18th of August 1945 that Subhash Chandra Bose was killed in an air accident, which has never been substantiated even till today. That's a separate story. Now the question is, what happened between 1942 and 45? There was no movement. By 1945, what happened? The European war was over. The British Sainyam was in India, and the Indian people, the Indian National Army, about 10,000 people were brought by the British into India, and their 9 generals, Shanawaz Khan and Saigal and Dillon, these were all put to trial in the Red Fort. As traitors. 1945 December. Now, by that time, there were, in 1946, these trials spread like wildfire. The Indian people were enraged. Jawaharlal Nehru, who in 1942 said that if Subhash Chandra Bose came to India to fight, I will fight him with a sword in my hand. This was the declaration that Jawaharlal Nehru made in Asra. But once the INA trials started, and the Indian opinion was all for INA and was against the British, there were demonstrations. I was in the SSLC at that time, 11th class. I also organized demonstrations in my village. INA Jindabad, Subhash Chandra Bose Jindabad, that's like Captain Lakshmi Jindabad, Shanawaz Khan Jindabad, like that. So all over India, there was tremendous amount of sympathy for the Indian National Army, Subhash Chandra Bose, and against the trials of these people. This infected the armed forces, the British Indian Armed Forces. In February 1946, on 78 ships of the Indian Navy, 26,000 Indian Navy ratings antar, they pulled down this Union Jack, unfurled the Congress flag, and went on saying, Jai Hind, Delhi Chalo. Within a few days, in Jabalpur, the army units, they also said, Jai Hind, Subhash Bose Jindabad. And within another week, in Bamrauli near Allahabad, the Indian Air Force, airmen also rebelled. So all over, there was rebellion in the British Indian Army. They are shouting INA Jindabad, Subhash Chandra Bose Jindabad, Shanawaz Jindabad. Right? How many are they? 3 million Indian soldiers, British Indian Army. There were 16 divisions of them. They were about to be mobilized. And in 1946, 16th of August, in fact, it may be due to that we got the transfer of power, the Muslim League took to direct action. There was a Muslim League government in in Bengal, undivided Bengal. Sohrawardi was the premier at that time. He declared a holiday. And what is this direct action against whom? American journalist asked Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He said, against those who are opposing the division of this country. That is obviously the Hindus. So on the first day, that is on the 16th of August 1946, nearly 10,000 Hindus were slaughtered in Calcutta. And as a reaction, in the next, after 3 or 4 days, it is the turn of the Muslims to die because the Hindu majority was there. Then there was Naukhali, that East Bengal, the Muslims who were constituting 67%, murdered the 33% Hindus, and in retaliation, Bihar Hindus were killing the Muslims. And Jawaharlal Nehru wanted to bomb them, but he never wanted to bomb East Bengal. So the government, the people are going out of control. The British Army is saying, the white soldiers of Great Britain and Australia are saying, 5 years ago we left our wife and children, we left our countries, we don't want to be here, we want to go home. And what is the British Indian Army doing? Army, Navy and Air Force, they are rebelling. On whom are they to depend? They sent what was called the cabinet mission. And the cabinet mission, Lord Wavell was our governor general at that time. He sent a secret missive to the British government saying, I can't rule this country. Nobody can rule this country. Everybody is against us. People are against us. Army is against us. On whom are we going to depend? Even the white fellows are we want to go home. Therefore, you made two alternatives. How to withdraw, give the power to whosoever is there and go away, or suppress. We can't suppress. Therefore, for not more than 18 months can I hold this country. That was what he said in 1946. So he even suggested June 1940, that is 18 months. By that time, if you don't give, we will be slaughtered. That was Wavell's message to Attlee. Right? So the country became ungovernable. Civil war has started, and Sardar Patel had to agree to the division of the country, because without division, Wavell was wavering, Wavell was talking, they took him to be a defeatist general. They said, no, we'll send Mountbatten, not Mountbatten. So he was sent in 1947 March. 1947 March. What did Attlee say? In February, he said that not later than June 1948, England will hand over power to whosoever is there in whatever situation, whether chaos is there or whatever it is. Whom do you want to hand over? Whosoever wants to take it, he'll let. Then Mountbatten was sent. Mountbatten consulted a number of people. Finally, Sardar Patel, Mountbatten said, there is only one man with whom I can do business. That is Sardar Patel. He only counts. So Sardar Patel and Mount agreed for the division of the country. He agreed for the first man to agree for the division of the country. Later on, Munshiji asked Gandhi and Patel. Munshiji asked Patel, you are a Akhandi, why are you agreeing to the division of this country? He said, communal violence has started. Gandhi will not allow us to take to arms. As long as Gandhiji will not allow us to take to arms, we cannot fight the Muslims. War has started. Civil war has started. So it is better. Whatever I can save, I will consolidate it. Remember, India is not a federation. What happened in 1946 and what happened to 800 years of India's history has taught Sardar Patel and Dr. Ambedkar that unless we have got a very, very, very strong center, this country will be conquered by the foreigners piece by piece, as it happened over last 600 years. Therefore, I have agreed for the division of the country, because Gandhi will not allow us to fight. We will ultimately win. There's no doubt about it. But Gandhi will not allow us to fight. These are some of the secrets which were revealed by K.M. Munshi in his India's Pilgrimage to Freedom. That is a book. Now, friends, then what was the reason? Why did Mountbatten agree? First is ungovernability of India, communal troubles. And the British white armies, there were 5 divisions here, wanting to go away to England and to Australia, saying we want to go. Then on whom are we to depend? To control. We cannot control. If we live in chaos, British Empire, which spanned the entire globe where the sun does not set, if that goes in ignominy, leaving the country to chaos, the Britons will get a wrong name and a bad name in history. Therefore, it is better to divide this country, and the Jinnah wanted split and then quit and hand over the power. Now, what is the reason? In 1945, the Congress men were released. 1944, Gandhi was released, and he had those 17 days of walking to Jinnah and getting rebuffed, etc. That's another story. Then, why did they quit India? They quit India because it became ungovernable. The British, the Indian Army, Air Force, Navy are rebellion. If it happens 1857, there were at that time 90,000 Europeans in the whole of India. These 90,000 fellows may be slaughtered, just as in 1857. So that was the reason. Now, is this the truth? It is necessary. It's necessary to give facts about this. In 19... Hello? Can I continue?
Venkat.
In 1956, Mr. Attlee, by the time he lost power.
Sir, ఒకసారి ఆగండి సార్. వెంకట్.
Can I continue?
Sir, just a minute, sir. We don't know where from this noise is coming. Sir.
వీఆర్కే మూర్తి గారు, దయవుంచి మీ స్పీకర్ ఆఫ్ చేయండి.
నా స్పీకర్ సాఫే ఉన్నాయి.
నో ఇట్ ఈస్ మ్యూట్.
నాది మ్యూట్ లోనే ఉందండి. మ్యూట్ చేస్తాను.
Then how can we hear you if you are in mute? We are hearing you. Anyway, let me continue.
ఐఫోన్ ఉంది సార్ విఆర్కే గారు. విఆర్కేస్ ఐఫోన్ అని ఉంది, అది ఆన్ అయిపోయింది. మీది మామూలుగా మూర్తి అన్నది అది ఓకే. నాది ఐఫోన్ కాదు, ఒకటే టెలిఫోన్ ఉంది. సరే సరే, ఎవరిదో
సర్లేండి, దాని మీద డిస్కషన్ వద్దు సార్. ప్లీజ్ కంటిన్యూ.
ఓకే.
In 1956, Attlee came to India. He was not the Prime Minister. He was the guest of the governor of Bengal, West Bengal, Chief Justice Chakravarti. He was the acting governor. Now, Chakravarti drew Attlee into conversation, long conversation. He asked Attlee, it is better that I read out. He was in the spent 2 days, Attlee spent 2 days in the governor's palace at Calcutta. At that time, I means Chakravarti, Chief Justice, acting governor, had a prolonged discussion with him regarding the real factors that had led the British to quit India. My direct question to him was that since Gandhi's Quit India movement had tapered off quite some time ago, and in 1947, no such new compelling situation had arisen that would necessitate a hasty British departure, why did they have to leave This was the direct question. In his reply, Attlee cited several reasons, the principal among them being the erosion of loyalty to the British Crown among the Indian Army and Navy and Air Force personnel as a result of the military activities of Netaji. Towards the end of our discussion, I asked Attlee what was the extent of Gandhi's influence upon the British decision to quit India. Hearing this question, Attlee's lips became twisted in a sarcastic smile as he slowly chewed out the word minimal. So it is absolutely clear that neither the cooperative Bardoli Satyagraha, nor the Salt March, nor Ahimsa, nor 1942 Quit India movement and all the congressmen sitting in the jail comfortably, and Subhash Bose going out and then causing unrest among the British Indian army. That was the reason. Whom shall we depend upon? If the armed forces are against us, the 5 divisions which are wanting to go away, and they will not take to arms, and the 90,000 Europeans will be slaughtered, as in 1857, the first few months. That's why we have left. So the reason is, it is not non-violence. It is not non-cooperation, because every non-cooperation movement was completely suppressed. In 1919, Montagu-Chelmsford reforms that brought in diarchy, legislative councils in the provinces, they were called provinces. And in 1935, after Simon Commission, Government of India Act, it made it a federation with the provinces, with certain powers to the provinces and certain powers with Governor General, and him having veto on everything. So all these weaknesses, because I am mentioning this very clearly, today every chief minister of non-BJP ruled states says federation, federal spirit, federalism and all. There are 395 articles in our constitution and 11 annexures. In none of them is the word federalism used. Article 3 says it can divide states, United States, alter boundaries. You see, federation, it can do that one. Then in the America, every state has got a constitution. Every state elects its own governor. That is a federation. And Abraham Lincoln did not allow even that federation to break up. He risked even a 5-year-long civil war. So in India also, we got freedom not because of these Gandhiji's movement on non-violence and non-cooperation, but because of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose take to arms and spreading disaffection in the 16 British Indian Army divisions and the Air Force and the Navy. This is the real reason at that time. In 1876, the telephone was invented. To whom shall the patent be given? That question went up to the Supreme Court of the United States. The justice said there can be several factors for conception, but there is only one reason. There could be several factors like non-cooperation and civil disobedience and etc. But there is only one reason, just as for conception, only one reason. There was only one immediate reason, that is Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The history has been totally distorted by the Marxist Madrasa, a star given as a gift by Indira Gandhi to the communists for supporting her when the Congress split in 1969. There was nobody to shout Jindabad, Jindabad and kneeling up, get out, etc. The communists lent themselves. After Indira Gandhi won, the communists asked her for a gift. What gift shall I give you? Sir, madam, we want a university. So she gave the university, and these fellows called it Jawaharlal Nehru University and put all the Marxist people as history at the end of history, this relation, that relation, etc. So that has become a Marxist madrasa, and they were commissioned to write the history of the freedom struggle, and a lot of money was spent. Arun Chaudhary has written a book about that one, and they did nothing except showing Subhash Chandra Bose in bad light and saying that the communists fought for independence. Sorry, in 1942, when Cripps Mission came, the Communist Party of India, which was founded in 1925 along with the RSS, but the RSS and its children and grandchildren are ruling India, whereas the communist fellows are simply the lost power everywhere. So they said, the Communist Party of India gave a memorandum to Cripps that India should be divided not into two, but 24 sovereign republics. This is their patriotism, the communist patriotism. In the 1947, India became independent, Nizam declared independence. The communists supported them. The communists supported this, Nizam's independence, and the Rajakars and the communists cooperated. And in 1948, September 17, when the Nizam ordered his forces to cease resistance and ask the Indian army to take over, he asked the Indian army to take over and bring order in this. The communists went on fighting the Indian forces, Indian armed forces and the policemen until 1951 September. 1948, Nizam was liberated. Until 1951 September, they fought on and they were decimated. And then a delegation of 4 fellows, Chandra Rajeshwara, Makineni, Basavapurna, S.A. Dange, and Ajay Ghosh, these people went to Stalin. Sir, what shall we do? What shall we do? You ordered us to fight, we fight, and only we are left. All our fellows are decimated. And then on his advice, they stopped fighting the Indian army and took part in the elections. And afterwards they split. And now they are saying, hey, we are going to fight to get a BJP free Bharat. These communists are going to fight. In the 2019 elections to the Telangana State Assembly, the Right Communist Party, Chara Venkata Reddy ji, he assembled a 26 party coalition, all of them lost deposit. And now they are all shouting, we'll pull down the BJP government. We'll pull down the BJP government. So friends, India's freedom was not a gift from England. It is not something which has been fought for and got by the Congress. Now, history has been completely distorted. Just what Nehru dynasty has done, I already told you how Nehru became the president of the Congress and then the prime minister, and how he non-cooperated with Subhash Chandra Bose as well as Tandon, etc. And that splitting business is endemic in Congress. That's why Indira Gandhi in 1969 also split the Congress. And afterwards it became Nijalinga Appa Congress, then some other Congress, Ars Congress, Brahman Reddy Congress, and similarly now there is a local Congress in Punjab, etc. That is endemic in that one. So India's independence was the immediate reason was the Indian National Army, Subhash Chandra Bose, and not others. There are other factors. We cannot deny them. But to say that independence was obtained only because of non-cooperation means, only because of Ahimsa, etc., is total distortion of history. As I said in the beginning, history is written by the victors, and the victors are always right. And the victors were Nehru at that time, and his people afterwards, Indira Gandhi. Just I will tell, just imagine how they did. In 1955, Jawaharlal Nehru was alive. He got Bharat Ratna for himself. 1971, Indira Gandhi was alive. She got Bharat Ratna for herself. 1991, Rajiv Gandhi, he got Bharat Ratna. Was Ambedkar given? Was Sardar Patel given? Ambedkar got it only in 1990 when there is no Congress government. Similarly, in Sardar Patel also was given in 1991 only. That means when Congress was not in power, only Sardar Patel and Ambedkar got recognition. Whereas the Nehru dynasty, and now they are saying Priyanka, Nehru, Indira, Vadra, Gandhi, she has declared herself as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. See the front that is to India. So what did Ambedkar say? On the 30th of January, when Gandhiji was assassinated, my enemy is dead. India will think free now. Unfortunately, India has not been thinking free. Instead of being the slaves of one Gandhi, two Gandhi, a false Gandhi slave, that is what he has become. It's unfortunate. I have used very strong words because words have sometimes to be strong because they are the assault of truth and falsehood. They are the assault of truth and falsehood. So friends, I will stop at this one. Kangana Raut's question, what movement was there in 1947 to get freedom? And everybody jumped up and abused her. But I think people now should know what were the real immediate reasons, compelling reasons, as Justice Chakravarti put to Mr. Attlee. The compelling reasons were the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, inspired by Veer Savarkar, advised by Dr. Ambedkar, and all the while paying tributes over the free radio in Berlin and from Singapore. He was making direct broadcast to Jawaharlal Gandhi. We respect you. But if your movement for Quit India gets freedom, we will be very happy. But I don't think it will happen. Therefore, I have, with all respect to you, taken to armed resistance. That's what Gandhi. I will stop at this one.
Prasad garu, please take over and moderate the question answer session.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ. అయ్యా పద్మశ్రీ హనుమాన్ చౌదరి గారు, మీకు మా మనపూర్వక నమస్కారాలండి. మరి అంటే ఈ నమస్కారాలను ఇలా పెట్టుకుంటే చాలదు. ఈ రోజు ఇక్కడ ఉన్న వాళ్ళం ఒక 36 మంది 40 మంది దాకా కూడాము. అందరికీ గూస్ బంప్స్. అందరికీ మీరు చెప్తుంటే అవన్నీ కూడా ఒక రకంగా ఇలాంటి తెలుస్తోంది కొంచెం కొంచెం. మీరు చెప్తున్న దానికి ఈ మధ్య మీరు అన్నట్టుగా ఆవిడ కంగనారావు అన్నట్టుగా 2014 తర్వాత మీరు చెప్తున్న ఈ విషయాలన్నీ మీలాంటి పెద్దవాళ్ళకి తప్పితే మాకెవరికి తెలియవు. ఈ మధ్యన తెలుస్తున్నాయి. కాకపోతే ఈ రోజు మీరు మాకు పూర్తిగా కిటికీలన్నీ పూర్తిగా తెచ్చేసారండి. చాలా 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 నిజంగా వెరీ మచ్ సాటిస్ఫైడ్. కాకపోతే
ఇండియా అండ్ ద ఫ్రీడమ్ రోడ్ ఫ్రమ్ 2014 and the freedom. Until then we are afraid to talk even.
Yes sir, yes sir, that is
now only voices are coming.
Yes sir, yes sir. And I'm happy that మన గ్రూప్ లో ఇప్పుడు యంగ్స్టర్స్ కూడా ఉన్నారు. ఇప్పుడు మీరు చెప్తున్న దాంట్లో మాలాంటి మేమందరం 50 ఇయర్స్ అబౌ వాళ్ళం ఎక్కువ మంది ఉన్నాం. బట్ యంగ్స్టర్స్ కూడా ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళు ముఖ్యంగా నేర్చుకోవాలి. మా అబ్బాయిలు కూడా పక్కన కూర్చోబెట్టుకుని వినమని చెప్తున్నాను. వాళ్ళు విన్నారు. ఇప్పుడు ఆ విధంగా ఈ మీ బుక్స్ వేర్ దే ఆర్ అవైలబుల్ సార్? ఎక్కడ, హౌ కెన్ వి గెట్ దట్ బుక్?
దే ఆర్ ఆల్ విత్ మీ. ఎందుకంటే ఎవరికి అప్పచెప్తాడు అన్ని కొట్టిస్తాడు అనమాట. సో సంబడి అడ్వైజ్ మీ, యూ డైరెక్ట్లీ సెల్ దెమ్. నా టెలిఫోన్ నంబరు ఇవన్నీ తెలుసు కాబట్టి ఎన్ని మిగిలితే అన్ని కూడా ఇట్ విల్ బి ప్లెజర్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. మనకి ప్రేక్షకుల దగ్గర నుంచి 2-3 క్వశ్చన్స్ వచ్చి ఉన్నాయి, 4-5 క్వశ్చన్స్. ఒకసారి వాట్ వర్ ద రీజన్స్ ఫర్ గాంధీ టు ఆస్క్ పటేల్ టు విత్డ్రా అన్నది ఒక రీజన్ సార్.
దాని జవాబు చెప్పనా? దిస్ క్వశ్చన్ వాజ్ ఆల్సో ఆస్క్డ్ బై మున్షీజీ.
వాట్ వర్ ద రీజన్ ఫర్ గాంధీ టు ఆస్క్ పటేల్?
Munshiji put this question to Gandhiji himself. So Gandhiji said, Nehru he will never agree to be number 2. If Patel becomes the president and this man becomes nothing, he will quit the Congress, join the communists and socialists, and our independence will be postponed by another 25 years. Therefore, yes, we have to make this man only. That's why he took a pledge from Patel. He took a pledge from Patel. When Patel resigned,
yes,
because Patel was saying, I want to protect not only Muslims, I want to protect Hindus also. Hindus are coming from Pakistan, and,
Yes.
and Sikhs are coming. They are occupying the vacant houses vacated by Muslims and the vacant mosques. Gandhi is protesting fast unto death to vacate them. Those people ask, where shall we go? Go back to Pakistan, he says. Can you imagine that Gandhi said, go back to Pakistan, where they are getting slaughtered?
Yes.
So Patel, in disgust, resigned. And then Mountbatten went to Gandhi and said, no, I can't rule this country. Except Patel, nobody can rule this country. And he was called. And then Gandhiji knew that if Nehru and Patel differed at that time, and Patel took over the Congress, then what Nehru will do? There will be civil war. And we are a critical phase.
Yes.
Communal rights everywhere.
Yes, sir.
So Patel was a
Yes, sir.
patriot. Nehru was
Yes.
a chipko, sheet chipko. How many times he has threatened to resign? Never resigned. Nehru
Yes,
threatened
yes.
several times to resign. He never resigned.
Yes, sir.
And why did Gandhi? Number one, he did not want to be number two in any hierarchy. The second one is
Yes.
Sardar Patel will speak about India, Bharat, and this and that. Whereas Nehru will speak of internationalist thing, that thing. In fact, whether Nehru is a Gandhian, as long as Gandhi lived, mark this one.
Yeah.
Nehru
Yes,
never
yes, sir.
spoke about socialism. Nehru
Yes.
never spoke about socialism as long as Gandhi lived. And after Gandhiji is dead in 1954 at Avadi, he got the Congress to pass a resolution of socialistic pattern of society. He did not have the guts to say, I want a communist or a socialist one. Socialistic pattern of society. And Rajaji then, in disgust, he formed the Swatantra Party. Rajaji, Munshiji, Rangaji, Minu Masani, they said, no, we are fighting this. We don't want socialism here.
Yes, sir.
Not clear?
Sir,
And Nehru,
ఇంకొక ప్రశ్న
why did he not
అండి.
speak? Because without Gandhi, he can never be in the Congress. Without Gandhi's support, he can
Yes,
never become
yes,
the Congress.
definitely.
Because in 1945, it was clear.
Yes, sir.
Nobody proposed
Hmm.
easily. Acha, next question.
సార్ రెండు ఇంటర్ రిలేటెడ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ సార్ ఇవి. అంటే ఒకటి we came to know that one Mr. Pillai by name Pillai, Indira Gandhi's past personal assistant, he wrote some
Yes.
secrets about that history, that what you call dark history. Out of that, I think whether the DNA of Nehru was Muslim or not, అది కూడా కొద్దిగా మీరు క్లారిఫై చేయగలిగితే. ఆ రెండు కలిపి ఉన్నాయి.
It's a very, very unpleasant question to answer
Yes.
because their pedigree is doubtful.
Yes.
I have written to Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi, why don't you celebrate the birthday of Firoz Gandhi? Isn't it? They are taking the name
Yes.
Gandhi from Firoz Gandhi. Have you ever celebrated his birthday? Why? Why have you not
No.
celebrated? Is there his photo hanging in your house? So you are misusing the name of Gandhi,
Yes.
whereas that man actually Firoz Gandhi was Firoz
Yes.
Gandhi, Ghandi. Is a Teli. That means a Parsi community. Their profession of this family
Yes.
was to squeeze the oil, press the oil, and press the tilka tail to get the tilka
Yeah, yeah.
tail. They are called Gandhis. Gandhi.
Acha.
So his name was Gandhi. Where were they married? Firoz and Indira in England. In England they were married. So Gandhi said, this is a disaster. Therefore you take my name, Gandhi, Gandhi. And when they came back to India, he performed the marriage in the Indian way. This is it. So whether who is born to whom is a doubtful question. Some people say
Yes.
it is a Muslim line.
Yes.
And when Jawaharlal Nehru died, what did he give to the nation? His ashes. Whom did he give his property to? His son, his family. Allahabad, what house? Ananda Bhavan. Ananda Bhavan is a trust of of his descendants. So what he gave to us is his ashes to be put in the Ganga and Krishna and Godavari and Kaveri. This is what Rajaji said.
Yes, sir. Sir, ఇంకొక క్వశ్చన్ అండి. Do you know anything about why Indians are called as Hindus instead of Sindhus? Sindhus అని కాకుండా Hindus.
In the Iranian language, Sa is pronounced as Ha.
Acha.
Sindhu is pronounced as Hindu.
Acha.
That's how it became Hindu. That's the Persian one. And from that, the Greek and Persians, they were all at dagger's head, no?
Yes.
So from Persians, they got the name. So everybody who is after the Sindhu river is a Hindu. Is a Sindhu or is a Hindu. I am requesting all of you follow this one.
Yes, sir.
Punjab, what is our Janaganamana? Punjab, Sindhu. Maratha,
Punjab, Sindhu, Gujarat, Dravida,
but where is Sindhu? There is no Sindhu state.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yes, sir.
when the Sylhet district, which was of Assam, which was a Hindu majority province at that time,
Yes, sir.
that district was a Muslim majority one. A referendum was held whether it would stay in Assam or go to Pakistan, and they voted for Pakistan. We have got a district called Thar Parkar in Sindh, which is adjoining Kutch. It is even today a 52% Hindu majority. It was a 95% Hindu majority. I asked Advani ji, Arey, when Sylhet was given a choice, a referendum, why did you not ask for a referendum in Thar Parkar? Not only provinces were divided, even the districts were divided. So why did you not ask? I was a young man. I had no voice. I am only a pracharik at that time. I could not. Then I suggested to him, sir, carve out one area out of Kutch and call it East Sindh. Like East Bengal, West Bengal. Let us create a Sindhu state. As a reminder, that is ours. So you also please take up this issue.
Yes.
Sindhi is a language is there. It is recognized in our constitution and in our country. Janaganamana, in our national anthem, Sindhu is there, but physically there is no Sindhu state. There are Sindhis. So we should take up this issue, and I am pursuing. I will go on pursuing until my last breath.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, sir?
Sir, a few people believe that because of British India rule, unity among all kingdoms was established, strong and nationalism as a single unit evolved, led for freedom struggle. Your comments, please.
This comment, this question was answered by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in his thesis in the Columbia University. In Columbia University, he studied, and afterwards they confirmed, gave him an honorary doctorate also. He said, India has always been a cultural nation. By culture, by the Sanatana Dharma, it is one nation. A cultural nation has been transformed into a political nation, a nation state by Sardar Patel. We had 562 states, which each one of which could claim independence according to the Transfer of Power Act, Government of India Act 1947. They could join Pakistan or India or be independent. But Sardar Patel did something which nobody, not even Bismarck, could do for Germany. In 1871, Bismarck, the Chancellor of Wilhelm Kaiser,
Yes, sir.
conquered 28 German states, like our princess, Maharajas, and conquered 28 of them and knit them into a German state. A cultural nation and a cultural territory has been made into a nation state. But even there he failed, because Austria, a German-speaking nation, a Christian nation, could not be amalgamated in the German Republic even till today. Whereas Sardar Patel, 562 states, and 8 provinces. They are provinces, they are not states. The state is a name given by Ambedkar and Patel. They are all provinces. Madras province, British province, Bengal province, Bombay province, central provinces. So we gave a name of a state and said we are a union of states. They are all provinces.
Yes, sir.
And why did they do this one? They said India was conquered because we had no one political. When Chandragupta was there, whole of India was under him. Therefore, he could expel all the
Yes.
Greek fellows. That lasted until Samudragupta, even Harshavardhan.
Akhanda
See, so many.
Bharat.
So even into the 11th century tak, nobody dared to enter India. Everybody was defeated. Ghazni came 17 times, looted and went away. It was only in 1192, Battle of Tarej, where Muhammad Ghori treacherously killed Prithviraj. It is since then it has started piece by piece by piece. But we had Rana Pratap fighting. And from whom did the power go to foreigners? It is not from Muslims. It is from Marathas. Chhatrapati Shivaji, Hindu Padmapada Shahi, inspired by Ramdas, Guru, he told them, you see, all Indian fellows are waiting for the enemy to attack. You attack. So the Rananiti of Shivaji, of the Hindu Padmapada Shahi, was simply attack and run away. He attacked, run away, make it weak. That's why Shivaji was able to establish his successors, Hindu Padmapada Shahi. The 1818, the last battle between the Marathas and the British was fought. 1818 in Bhima Kore gone. India, until then the Maratha power passed from Marathas to the British, not from the Muslims.
Yes, sir.
This also we must remember.
Sir,
And
a few years later, I think 4 years later ago, I think Mr. Bakshi General Bakshi wrote a book. Have you
This is
read
that
that,
book.
sir?
I read everything. This is the book.
Yes, sir. Can it be taken as the authoritative one, sir?
Absolutely, he is quoting from documents released by West Bengal government and by the Indian government. Some more documents are there which are still not released. Why are they not released? I am writing to Modi again and again. Please release all the documents.
So, sir,
And Nehru was spying, his government was spying upon Bose's family. Because in
Yes.
1992,
yes,
T.V. Narasimha Rao, the great patriot,
yes,
the man who deviated from this Nehru dynasty,
yes.
he proposed to give Bharat Ratna to son Subhash Chandra Bose.
Achha.
Then Bose's family objected, saying it is not certain whether he is dead or not.
Yes.
We don't want the Bharat Ratna. It went up to the Supreme Court, which gave the judgment in 1997. Stop it. Forget about it. That's why Subhash Chandra Bose, in spite of P.V. Narasimha Rao, in spite of Modi, etc., he has not yet been given Bharat Ratna.
Oh. Achha. Sir, we came to had some news like that. Subhash Chandra Bose had been tortured in Russia's prison, and it is
That is one version. The government of India appointed what is called the Shahnawaz Khan Commission.
yes, sir.
Shahnawaz Khan was tried, was one of the three generals
Yes.
in the Indian National Army. Another was Kiani, and this is another mounting or something. So
Yes.
Shahnawaz Commission concluded, don't know.
Don't
We
know.
are not sure whether he died or not.
Achha.
That is the commission report.
Mhm.
That's why the Bose family said, we don't want a posthumous after death. His death is not certain.
No, that is not.
Yeah, August 15, 1945 was the date when the Japanese radio, on the 18th of August, 3 days after the air crash, they announced that there was an air crash and Subhash is believed to have died.
Yes.
That's why he is believed to have died.
Believe it.
The Japanese don't believe, even now they don't believe.
Yes.
That's why Taiwan,
Yes.
yes, recently must have said, read in the yesterday, day before yesterday's paper, who want to give every facility for people to do the research, whether
Yes.
Subhash died or not and where he died.
Achha.
We will give the facility.
Yes.
The Taiwan government had told India.
Yes.
But now he was born in 1890, 1897.
1897.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
So 1996, he past 100 years. So he obviously he's not alive.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
He's not alive. But he's dead or not, where he died, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Authoritatively.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. On this 73rd Republic Day, we could able to know much about our independence,
One
much
more
about our
question.
India.
One more question.
Because of you.
Sir, why do you think ancient Indian culture has not been preserved well? Like the Britishers have rediscovered Ajanta and Ellora for us. They were in a pretty dilapidated condition when they rediscovered it for us. Why do you think we didn't do a good job of safeguarding our culture, apart from oral tradition?
Do you know it was Warren Hastings, the second Governor General of the company time, who established the East Asiatic Society,
Yes.
and he introduced
Ecological Society.
Sanskrit schools and colleges.
Yes, sir.
They had lot of it.
It was to get an inside.
Nehru dynasty is not interested. Nehru had to discover India.
Yeah.
So lived, he was born and lived in Indian, whereas Nehru had to discover India.
True.
He wrote a book called Discovery of India. कुछ नहीं जानता था. So he had to discover, like Columbus. Whereas हमारे blood में sunshine in every drop of our blood there is India.
True.
Now
True.
this was also discussed. In 1930, after 39, when Bose left the Congress,
Yes, sir.
he earlier than that one, there were two incidents. In Bombay, there was a meeting organized by one Congress committee where there were two people to speak, Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru. Subhash Chandra Bose spoke about Vedas, about the Upanishads, about the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. He said, this is our culture. Then Nehru's turn came. He said, there is no use talking about the past. What the past is all imagination. This is what he spoke.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Even then, it was very clear. These two people had a different inspiration.
Yes.
They had a different inheritance.
Yes, sir.
Subhash Chandra Bose inheritance is Bharatiyata, whereas Nehru's inheritance is a questionable one.
Anglicized history. Yes.
There was one more incident like this. Morarji Desai organized a meeting in Ahmedabad, young Congress workers. Both Bose and Nehru were invited. Knowing that Bose has accepted the invitation, Nehru declined to go there. We can see the difference between the two people, both in the get-up, both in their attitude, both in their attitude to Mahatma Gandhi. Subhash Chandra Bose always venerated Mahatma Gandhi in spite of his dubious role. Nehru pretended he was ఏమంటారు మనం మోసం చేసినట్టు అంటారు పంచతంత్ర స్టోరీలో ఉంది కదా ది మ్యాన్ pretended as he was his most loyal fellow and all that. మేకవన్ని కాదు 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 కాకపోతుంది అనమాట అండి. వాడు ఏంటంటే ఎత్తుపోయాడు. That's it. This man was ఆషాఢభూతి.
ఆషాఢభూతి. Yes.
ఆషాఢభూతి. Whereas Sardar Patel was Hanuman to Rama.
Yes.
What Hanuman was to Rama, means Sardar Patel was to Gandhi.
Yes, sir.
And at the only last moment only, Patel differed from Gandhiji and said, no, if you go on like this, I think let me end this with. In June 1947, the All India Congress Committee was convened to ratify the decision of the working committee for accepting the division of the country. The working committee of the Congress accepted the division of the country. It has got to be ratified by the All India Congress Committee, which was called in 1947, June 10th to 13th. Gandhiji was living in the Harijan colony in Delhi at that time. So there was a furious debate in the All India Congress Committee. Ramanohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, and Tandon, that group saying no, no. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was also there. Then these people said, no, what to do? How to do? These fellows are opposing. Then they sent for Gandhiji. They requested Gandhiji to come from the Harijan colony and address the All India Congress Committee. So Gandhiji addressed and said, please accept the partition. Ramanohar Lohia, you said that only on your dead body India will be divided. Die! You have been undertaking fast for everything. Why don't you undertake a fast? These are the questions which Ramanohar Lohia put. Then Gandhi said, nobody listens to him. Muslims don't listen to him. So we are Bakri kya? Hindus are Bakris for you. So you go on fasting for the Hindus to become Bakris. This was the type of discussion that took place. And first he said, Namaskar, I don't think you have got any alternative to Nehru and Patel. Since Nehru and Patel accepted partition, I advise you to accept partition. Dhanyavad, bhag gaya. Why don't you die? That was Ramanohar Lohia. Then Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, you have thrown us to wolves. Mr. Gandhi, you have thrown me because they defied the Muslim League and Northwest Frontier was a Congress government. The Pashtuns, the most dangerous people, they accepted Gandhi's non-violence and they elected a Congress government. Now you won't give a referendum. You give to select a referendum. And in that referendum, why don't you give us a choice, independence? There was a referendum, Pakistan or Hindustan. Then Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan said, obviously people will be enraged. They will all say, Quran in danger, Islam in danger, and therefore Muslim League will win. So I boycott. So what happened? So Gandhiji, in economy, I wrote one article. He was a thorough failure. Gandhiji had 3 aims in his life. One was only on his dead body India should be partitioned. False. Ahimsa. Throughout there was ahimsa. Chauri Chaura, no, he stopped it. Khilafat movement, Himsa. 1942, Himsa. He could not control Himsa.
Yes.
And Hindu-Muslim unity. Hindu-Muslim unity, read the Quran. Read the Quran. Hindu-Muslim unity is possible. These are all the references. It is not possible. It is not possible. It is unthinkable. And if you can bear with me, 80 ayats and 80 slokas were taken from this. And there was a petition filed in the Calcutta High Court. This must be banned. Because the Indian Criminal Procedure Code and email this and that, etc. This promotes violence, hatred, kill, murder, tell, rape. All these were done in the according to the Quran. Therefore, this must be banned. And it was about to be a Maharashtrian lady was the justice. She admitted it in hearing, and in the questions it appeared that she would ban this. Then they transferred her. And put one Bengali communist fellow as just one of the justices. This is God's word. This is God's words. God's words. These are God's words, he said. So men cannot do. Now, 3 months ago, the chairman of the All India Shia Personal Law Board, one Mr. Razvi, has taken up the same ayats and filed in the Supreme Court, ban this, remove this. And he has converted to Hinduism.
Yes,
and
yes.
for he is someone Kyaji. Razvi was his name, is a Shia. Shias and Sunnis, they fight one another. Just as sometimes we also fight. So he is pending in the Supreme Court. Let us see what happens. The Supreme Court will not sit in judgment. Because the next Chief Justice is a communist. The next Chief Justice,
Yes.
Chandrachud,
Yes.
is a communist.
He's a communist. Yes, sir. Sir, I
His
think.
father was a nationalist.
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, one last question, sir. I think in this connection, one question has been asked, I think repeatedly by some of our people. Our nation is known for Vishwasanti, the non-violence mode of freedom struggle. Once again, ascertained our culture. Is this a credit to our nation really?
Today, in Europe, 40% of the people they don't believe in Christianity.
Yes.
In England and other countries, the churches are being sold and Hindus are buying them and putting them into temples, converting them into temples. But England is getting overtaken by Muslims. London's majority is Muslim. London's mayor is a Muslim. Birmingham's mayor is a Muslim. Right? In America, 30 to 40% say, no, we don't believe in Christianity. Therefore, this is the time when Bharat can really, what is this? Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Sahanavavatu, Sahanam Bhunakta, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Mavidvishavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudavadanti, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve, not only we. See, this is, isn't it? It's not tolerance. Vivekananda's speech, 1893. Brothers and sisters. Then what happened? The whole audience stood up. For 5 minutes, they went on. Brothers and sisters. Whereas, ladies and gentlemen, they will say, ladies and gentlemen. Whereas, we are bishop. So, there is awakening. But unfortunately, until 2014, we were afraid to talk. I was not afraid. Because I was a communist, I was not afraid. So, recently I had one beautiful phrase. RSS has got how many shakas? 58,000 shakas in the country, about 60,000 shakas. They convert Hindus into nationalists and nationalists into Hindus. Beautiful word. The RSS shakas convert Hindus into nationalists
Nationalists.
and the nationalists into Hindus.
Yes.
We may not agree entirely with RSS, but is there any organization in the country which can espouse a Hindu cause? None.
Sir,
So there may be so many other Hindus. Yeah, they are also patriots. But are they organizations? No, there is only one organization. Yes, sir.
ఎస్ సార్ సార్ చాలా అద్భుతంగా చెప్పారండి. మనం గత 6
పాపారావు గారు చెయ్యెత్తుతున్నారండి ఇందాక.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir.
Sir. Sir, my question is only one thing. We have.
Oh, be
Very
Babaravara.
We are very grateful to you for making us to aware of so many facts about the great patriot Subhash Chandra Bose. My only and ignorant question is: are we doing these successive governments? Are we? Anybody is interested to know about Subhash Chandra Bose family? Did we ever try to get back to India and repay our gratitude to that great patriot? Did anybody think about his family? We
Yes,
also
yes,
know
yes,
a
yes,
little
yes.
bit that he had a wife and a daughter or something like.
The daughter came 3 times to India.
Did we
The
never
daughter
try to
recently
retain
came
her
to
back?
India.
Sir, my question is over, sir. What did we repay? How did we try to retain her? Did anybody, these governments or people, try to retain her? So whereas we did so much are doing to put her Sonia Gandhi and her family under our head, who is not our net. Okay, in the same way, did we ever try to? Is anybody thinking about that family and that?
They did not even think of commemorating or even giving a stamp or giving Bharata Ratna. What do you think that they will honor her? His daughter or grandson.
Sir.
They have got a There is a grandson of German descent.
Yeah. Sir.
Recently she came, but the Indian progeny of that
Sir.
family
Sir.
are anti-national.
Sugar Sarai.
They recently some
Sir.
boss from that family,
Yes, sir.
you know, Sir Subhash Chandra Bose was one of the 14 children of his parents. They had 14 children. His parents. His father was a successful lawyer in Orissa. Subhash Bose was born in Orissa. He studied there in the Orissa College, etc., etc. Anyway, one of them recently has said pejorative, wonderful one. It is not enough to put statue. We must have tolerance. Tolerance for the intolerant? We must have tolerance, that fellow is saying. So it is possible. It is we have not honored his family, but one thing we must remember. She was Bose's secretary, very loyal secretary. They were together for only a few months. And when he was to embark into the submarine to leave Europe for India, that was the last meeting in Rome. At that time she was carried. And so the boy was born after Subhash submarine yatra to Singapore and his death, the reported death in the aircraft, etc. She visited 3 times India. She visited India 3 times. And she recently also she came, but nobody took notice of her. That's a pity. That's a pity. That's why we should tell Modi, we should strengthen his hands to become more and more of a Hindu.
సార్ చాలా బాగుందండి. ఇంత చెప్పినట్టు ఇప్పుడిప్పుడే మనం గత 6-7 ఏళ్లుగా మోదీ గారు ప్రభుత్వం ఏర్పాటు దగ్గర నుంచే ఈ నిజాలు బయటికి రావడం మొదలైంది. ప్రాబబ్లీ నిజాలు చెప్పడానికి ప్రజలు ధైర్యం తెచ్చుకుంటున్నారు. ఐఎమ్ షూర్ నెక్స్ట్ ఫ్యూ ఇయర్స్ లో ఖచ్చితంగా చాలా మూవ్మెంట్ ఉంటుంది. మనం కూడా మన నెక్స్ట్ తరాల వాళ్ళకి, మన పిల్లలకి, మన అందరికి దీన్ని ప్రొపగేట్ చేయాలి, సపోర్ట్ చేయాలి. ఫస్ట్ మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ గా
First thing we should say is, this is not a federation.
Yes.
All these regional fellows who are casteist, who are proprietary, each fellow is a proprietor of that party. Is it not? You take every regional party is a proprietary company. This is, we must expose, this is not federation, it is union. You fellows, what you are saying is, our right to spend, your duty to fund, our right to spend as we want, and we must duty to fund us. This is what these people are doing. So we must hesitate against this one. Pampudu. As Vice President has said, Andhra Pradesh mein kya hota hai? Pampudu hota hai.
Pampudu, distribution.
But that many. Barun.
అవును సార్. మన శాశక్తి
1,65,000 crores in this 2.5 years in Andhra Pradesh. 1,65,000 crores were borrowed.
అంటే దానికి ఎవరు బాధ్యత లేదు. నెక్స్ట్ గవర్నమెంట్ వస్తే అది
గవర్నమెంట్. Ramana has posed this question. Chief Justice Ramana, in today's paper, I think somewhere I read, he is saying, what is this? What is this Panchulu? So he asked for the government of India to reply within 4 weeks. Let us see what you are. The government will say, no, we are not for Panchulu. But what can we do with these state fellows? So there is an answer. Apply Article 360, financial emergency. That means no rupee will be spent by the government, the local government, without sanction from the central government. The central government can also order cut in the pay of all the fellows. According to Article 360. People should read Article 352, 356, 360 and Article 3. Nothing, these states are, because Ambedkar and Patel said, we must have a strong center. Otherwise, India will be conquered piece by piece. So, when these communist fellows, who cannot win even in one ward of a town, Yachuri, Pichuri, etc., these fellows are saying, we want Mukta, BJP Mukta. I said, I have written to them. It's very easily possible. Ask Korea to send 2 missiles, one to Nagpur, one to Delhi, so that both Modi and this man, our RSS chief, Bhagwat, are killed. Second, ask China to occupy Arunachal Pradesh. Third, ask Pakistan to occupy Punjab. Fourth, just like Tet offensive, Viet Cong in Vietnam, on their New Year Day, 250 towns were simultaneously attacked. 250 times. Similarly, ask these Maoists who are sitting in Chhattisgarh and Maharashtra, etc., to attack 250 towns in India simultaneously. Then BJP will be finished. This is my suggestion to Yechuri and these fellows.
సార్ ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్. సార్ ఇంకా కార్యక్రమం ముగిద్దామండి. భానుమతి గారు సార్ ఇక ముగిద్దామండి, టైం అయింది. భానుమతి గారు ప్లీజ్ ప్రపోజ్ వందన సమర్పణ చేయండి.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం అండి. ఈ రోజు గణతంత్ర దినోత్సవం సందర్భంగా పద్మశ్రీ హనుమాన్ చౌదరి గారు ఇవాళ ఎన్నో తెలియని విషయాలు క్షమించాలండి త్రిపురనేని అవునండి క్షమించాలి. సో ఆయన చాలా తెలియని విషయాలు, నేనైతే మీ ప్రసంగంలో అలా కొట్టుకుపోతున్నాను. ఎక్కడికి ఎన్సైక్లోపీడియా లాగా అలా మీరు చెప్పుకుపోతున్నారు. ఎక్కడి విషయాలు ఎప్పటి విషయాలు మన భారతదేశానివే కాదు బయట విదేశాల్లో వాటికి తోటి మీకు చెప్తున్న హిస్టరీ చూస్తుంటే అసలు ఎన్సైక్లోపీడియా లాగా మీరు అన్ని విషయాలు మాకు తెలియపరుస్తున్నారు. అయ్యా మీరు చదువుకున్నందుకు మీకు కోటి కోటి ధన్యవాదాలు. మాకందరికి ఎన్నో విషయాలు చెప్పి మాకు ఎంతో జ్ఞానోదయం కలిగించారు ఈ రోజున. సో మీకు చాలా చాలా ధన్యవాదాలండి జనరంజన్ తరఫు నుంచి. ఆ తర్వాత
Bhanumati is a great name. Duryodhana's wife was Bhanumati. Every evening invited Krishna. Every evening Krishna must see Bhanumati. And we have got our own great Bhanumati, the singer and actress and director, you know.
అవునండి అవునండి ఆవిడ పేరు పెట్టుకున్నందుకు ఏదో ఆవిడని ప్రతిసారి గుర్తు చేసుకుంటున్నాం మనం.
Bhanumatis are great.
చాలా థ్యాంక్స్ అండి. ఏదో మీ నోటెంబడి అది ఆ మాట విన్నందుకు చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది. అయితే ఇవాళ మనకి చక్కటి పాట అందించారు మన
మీకు తెలిసేది స్వరాజ్యం నా హక్కుని ఎవరన్నారు? బాలగంగాధర్ తిలక్. మై బర్త్ రైట్ అండ్ ఐ షల్ హ్యావ్ ఇట్. And I shall have it. That is the Swadeshi movement of 1905 to 1911. Without any Muslim support, with the Hindus only fighting, and the British government had to bend and undo the division. Banga was
Abhanga. Correct అండి. చాలా సంతోషం. మీరు ఇలా మీకు అసలు ఒక గంటన్నర సరిపోదండి. మనకి ఎన్ని విషయాలు తెలుసుకోవాలో మీ నుంచి. ఒక గంట అనేది చాలా అసలు ఒక సెకండ్ తో సమానం. ఎంత చెప్పినా వినాలనే ఉంటుంది మాకు. అంత మీకు తెలిసిన విషయాలు మాకు తెలియపరుస్తున్నారు. చాలా సంతోషంగా ఉంది ఇవాళ. ఆ తర్వాత ఈ చక్కని గేయం పాడారు మన ఫణి గారు. చాలా సంతోషం. దర్భా ఫణి గారు. ఆ తర్వాత మన దుర్గా ప్రసాద్ రావు గారు, దేవులపల్లి కృష్ణ దుర్గా ప్రసాద్ రావు గారు. చాలా సంతోషం అండి. మీకు
సూర్యకుమారి గారి పాట వేశారు ఆల్ ఇండియా రేడియో వాళ్ళు. సూర్యకుమారి గారి పాట అద్భుతమైన పాట.
చాలా సంతోషం. అవునండి.
యాక్చువల్ గా ఇవాళ ఆ పాట రావాలండి. ఆ అమ్మాయికి ఏదో ఇబ్బంది వచ్చి రాలేకపోయింది.
చక్కటి పాట పాడేది. ఒకవేళ మృదురవళి ఉంటే అమ్మాయి. చాలా సంతోషం. ఇవాళ ఇంతటితో ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్లవలసిందిగా చంద్ర గారిని రిక్వెస్ట్ చేస్తున్నాను.
చంద్ర గారు మీరు చెప్పేది ఇదే మాది స్వతంత్ర దేశం, స్వతంత్ర జాతి, మాది స్వతంత్ర దేశం, మాది స్వతంత్ర జాతి, భారతదేశమే నా దేశం, భారతీయులం మా ప్రజలం, భారతదేశమే మా దేశం, భారతీయులం మా ప్రజలం, మాది స్వతంత్ర దేశం, మాది స్వతంత్ర జాతి. హింగవద్రుల గంగా గోదావరి సత్యజ తుంగతరంగిత హృదయాల్ మావి మాది స్వతంత్ర దేశం మాది స్వతంత్ర జాతి ఆలయముల శిల్పమరామం ఆరామముల కళా ప్రకాశం ఆలయముల శిల్పరామం ఆరామముల కళా ప్రకాశం మొగల సమాధుల సదరాసం మాకు నిత్య నూతన ఇతిహాసం మొగల సమాధుల రసదరహాసం మాకు నిత్య నూతన మాది స్వతంత్ర దేశం మాది స్వతంత్ర జాతి.
ఈ స్వతంత్ర జాతి కుతంత్రుల చేతులకు వెళ్ళిపోయింది. స్వతంత్ర జాతి కుతంత్రుల చేతులకు వెళ్ళింది.
మళ్ళీ తెద్దాం వాపస్. మళ్ళీ తప్పకుండా మళ్ళీ మనకి మంచి బంగారు భవిష్యత్తు ఉందనే అందరం ఆశిద్దాం.
రైట్. నమస్తే అండి అందరికి. జై హింద్.
జై హింద్. వందే మాతరం.
వందే మాతరం.
వందే మాతరం.
భారత్ మాతా కీ జై.
జై భారత్ మాతా కీ జై.